What might be the most dehumanizing thing that you could experience? Perhaps when you feel that you are nothing but a number, reduced to a number. As we know what happened to Jews in the Holocaust, they were merely a number, no name, no value except for the number that you are. How dehumanizing and horrific that is. Where does that idea come from? Where is that? Is there something that is important lesson that we take out from it? Numbers matter. How so? Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We conclude today chapter 7 of Shar Yichud Ve'emunah, of the gate, the pathway towards the unity, the oneness of God, and what our true faith is. And what we're understanding is through God contracting upon himself, he doesn't remove himself, he just hides himself. And in the hiding of himself, there's different gradations, different levels of what that means. So we have the 10 utterances that are in the Torah. They include the sun and the moon. If you notice, animals are also created, but no specific species are mentioned. Why? Is because it's 10 general utterances of the species of animals is the reference, not the specific animal is not mentioned. Likewise, when it comes to trees, plants, it doesn't speak specifically, it speaks in the generality. Those 10 utterances are of the more powerful things in creation. So it's possible that a species could become extinct, but animals can't become extinct. Part of the 10 utterances. More powerful, less concealing of the divine. Then you have things that are more concealed. They're concealed by the fact that the Torah doesn't make reference to that creation. Not specific, but it's there. So you can have combinations of letters. So you can take an aleph from light, or you can take the shin from shemesh, from sun, and you put them together, aleph, shin, and you spell aish, fire. Fire is not mentioned in the 10 utterances of creation, but it's there. Why is it not mentioned? Is because it is a come down, if you will. It is a lessening of the divine light of God to create it. It's a contraction. Not that God departs, but he hides himself more in that force of his, in that energy of his, in the letters that are the vibrant force that are enclosed within fire. So that's a the combination of letters. You have substitutions of letters, which is a further come down of the divine light. You can transfer a letter aleph or a first letter for the last letter taf, or guttural letters are all have the same gutturals. They have a guttural sound, so they have a commonality. They can be a transpositioned, substituted, and the like. The lowest come down of the divine light of God, meaning the greatest contraction, which means the greatest concealment, is in numerology, gematria. And gematria means to say that God's presence is so hidden, his presence is so hidden that it doesn't represent itself in the name that God is animating with, the letters and the name that God is animating the particular object, but it is being animated by its numeral value, its number, rather than its letter, which again is just a metaphor to bring across on how there is a condensing, a contraction of God's light in the act of creator being fused or in bringing and creating a physical object or anything for that matter. So the sun is mentioned. It is a creation mentioned in Genesis. Other things are hinted to again through the combinations of a substitution. And then we have numeric value. Numeric value, gematria, the numeral value, which is again a come down, more hidden, the presence of God. So what is created from that numeric value? So for example, the Alter Rebbe gives Evan, a stone. A stone seems to be lifeless, of course, right? After all, it's inanimate. It doesn't grow like a tree can grow. It doesn't have, the capability of communication or movement like an animal or like a human being. Of course, communication and great intelligence. So what is a stone? How is it made up? What makes up a stone? The word Evan is Aleph, letter Aleph, the first letter of the Aleph base, with Ben, which is numeric value of 52. What's 52? Well, if you take God's name, which is the tetragrammaton, right? Yud, K, Vav, K, Yud and a Hey, and a Vav and a Hey, this name of God, and the letter Yud, we pronounce it Yud, but if it's fully written out the way we pronounce it, there are four possibilities on how you spell it out. I'm not going to go through all of them now, but each one will bring a different numeric value, 72, 63, 45. But what we're concerned and what our discussion is about 52. Now here you have 52, which is Ben. Nun is 50, base is 2. If you spell out the Yud is always spelled out the same way. Yud Vav Dalet, which is numeric value of 20. Hey, hey, which is 10. And then Vav, 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 which is 12. And hey, hey again, which is 10. Which you add it up all together, you get 52. That's the name of God in 52. Now, that name of God, first it's always the source of everything in creation, and in different manners that it is the source of creation. But here it's the source of creation in its numerology of 52, not in the letters themselves that have a shape, have meaning, have a very definitive value, and when it makes up a word, has content and meaning. A number reduced just to a number. So the name of God that's reduced into a number is a contraction of that name of God to a very great contraction, in a manner that God is more concealed. Well, how's he more concealed? Because the outcome of that, together with the letter Aleph, as we mentioned, because Evan is Aleph and then Beis Nun. Aleph, and as the Alter Rebbe says, the Aleph is added in a manner that from God, as it's known to him. In other words, beyond our comprehension, that it's hidden, in other words, again, that presence of God, together with the numeric value of 52, what that produces is a stone. That's what the outcome of it is, right? Through the numerous contractions, through the numerous contractions that God does not become removed, God forbid. He becomes concealed. Concealed. Hidden. And of course, God is more hidden in a rock than he is in a beautiful flower bed, or he's even more revealed when you see the animal kingdom. And of course, he's even more revealed in the human. We have the choice, so we could, choose otherwise. But of course, the fact that we have greater intellect and a greater form of communication. But this is how God fills the world with his, as king that rules the world, meaning controls the world, meaning creates the world and brings it into existence, something from nothing every moment through the word of God. Or sometimes it's only the numerology, the gematria, the value of the word, which again, just as an indication of a greater contraction that God is hiding himself more so in that creation. But is that creation totally bound up and one with God? Of course. It's just more hidden. That's all. Just more hidden. And with that, we conclude the 7th chapter. L'chaim. L'chaim. L'chaim livrocha. We have any questions? Any comments? Guys, any questions? Any comments? Diane has a question. Okay. Let me find it. Diane, what will be revealed when Mashiach comes? When Mashiach comes, that hiddenness of God will no longer be hidden. The vibrancy, the energy, the light of Hashem that is contracted, right? From our perspective, that we don't perceive it, we now perceive it in our mind's eye because we're learning about it. In our mind's eye, we understand Evan, a stone. But in our physical eye, we don't perceive that light, that energy, that vibrancy of God that's animating it. Mashiach means that that presence of God that's hidden right now will be revealed to us, will be real to us. It'll be so real that there won't be greed. There won't be envy. There won't be jealousy. And as a result, there won't be wars, which is very powerful outcome from that. The only reason that there is war is because there's envy, there's jealousy, there's greed. That's the only reason. The only reason that there isn't peace amongst peoples. I mean, of course, when you're attacked, you got to defend yourself. So the fight, the the fact that someone fights back is, you know, the appropriate thing when you've been attacked. Whether you're walking the street and someone attacks you, yes, defend yourself. You say, oh, well, God is present, so I'm not going to make war. No, someone has made war against you. Torah tells us, God tells us, you got to defend yourself, even if it means that that person, literally, the only way to stop that person from whether it's killing you or killing another person is to kill them. You have the obligation to kill them. If you can stop them in another way, then you can stop them another way. Right? But the one who precipitated and made the war, they won't anymore. They won't anymore. Why? Because the only reason they do it is because of jealousy, envy, and greed. With God's presence, you wouldn't have that. God being real and authentic in your life, you will not have that. And the outcome of that will be a peaceful world. Liz has a question. Okay. The numeric value of the name of God is the same as the numeric value of the word for stone? No. There's 4 different ways that you can have the numeric value of God, as I mentioned. Okay? Can be spelled out in 4 different ways. By the way, without spelling it out, the numeric value of God's name is 26. Yud is 10. 2 times 10. Hey is 5. So you have 2 Heys in God's name. That's 10. And 2 times 5, 10 again. That's 20. And Vav is 6. That's 26. But when you spell out God's name, right? Because a letter, you know, you need to spell it out. Like here, Aleph, you pronounce it Aleph Lamed Pei. That's how you pronounce it, Aleph. Right? The letter represents a pronunciation. Pronunciation spelled out is what we're talking about. So when you sort of elongate God's name, so there's 4 different ways you can do it. And therefore you get 4 different numeric values. So here, stone has 52 in it, base and nun. It's 50, the numeric value of 52. And an aleph, which is from God's name. So the 2 things together is what is the animating force, the light, the energy, whatever term you use, the divine flow that comes from God that produces stones, that produces and creates stones. So it's the contraction of the name of God, of course. So the name of God in and of itself is very powerful, that, you know, that is not something that could be vested within us, that could be the force within us, that would be enclosed in us, be too powerful. Okay, I hope that was clear. Vida, will we ever know one true name of Hashem, or will there always be concealed? I'm not certain what that means. But there has to be only one name? No, I'm not clear what you mean, Davida. I'm not, because there's, first of all, there's several names of God, but they represent different things, right? And it's just we see diversity. So that's, coming from diverse names on one level. Okay, amazing. Do our names have a number God intended for us? I'm not certain what you mean, Sarah. So, by the way, as a result of this, our Jewish name in particular, right? Our Jewish name, the letters are the vibrancy, are the energy, the light that's drawn from God into us. It's vested in us that those letters that make up a name becomes our force. So it becomes the force within us of God that brings us into existence and animates us uniquely as who we are. Right? Is the connectivity of soul with body. That's why when, God forbid, someone is very sick, we add a name to them because we want to change the energy, the light of God, to bring in a new light that therefore can bring a new energy to bring a healing to a person. Right? Which is amazing. So a name in that respect is not, just a, kind of a way to distinguish one person from another. Because you go in a crowd of Chabadniks and you say, "Hey, Rabbi," a lot of heads are going to turn. Well, if you say, "Hey, Rabbi Mendel," a lot of heads will also turn. But Teddy has a question. Okay. Why does such a lowly level need such a divine influence? I'm not certain what you mean, Teddy. You mean the stone? Hey, because a stone is a creation of God, but it's inanimate. It doesn't grow like a tree. That is more a sign of the divine in it, right? The fact that it actually grows. An animal is even more of a sign of the divine in it because it has movement, it has life to it, right? What we would call life as opposed to the tree, we would call it, it's a growing thing as opposed to the stone. But God is the source and he animates it, right? Okay. I hope that was answered your question, Teddy. What do you mean you get that, but it's only reciprocal? What do you mean by reciprocal? If you could elaborate on that. Okay. What does it mean reciprocal? What's reciprocal? And we're the ones here that will affect. So, yesterday was the 28th day of Sivan. We mentioned that in 1941, 83 years ago, is the Rebbe and the Rebbitzin, Rebbe and his wife, Rebbitzin Chaim Mushka, came to the shores of America, saved from Nazi Germany, actually France, where they were. And they came here. And so it wasn't just about being saved, as we spoke about yesterday, it was also the beginning of a new era for the Jewish people, the Rebbe, of course, the Jewish people, of bringing the final redemption, as we spoke about yesterday. You know what happened also on that day, 1947? The Rebbe returned to America for a second time. He went to France again. He left there in 41 uh, and came back there to France in 47. Why? Because his mother was in Russia and Ukraine. And she, after the war, was in France, and then everyone went to pick her up there and bring her to America. When did he come to America? The 28th of Sivan, 6 years later, on the exact same day. The exact same day. Why am I mentioning that? There's a reason why I mentioned that. Hold on. All right. I don't know what happened to me. I got a blank. I'm not certain. But I guess I had to say that for some reason. Teddy, affecting the land. Is a number that represents koach, koach. Strength. Yeah. Yeah, we spoke about that yesterday. Oh, okay. L'chaim, l'chaim. The reason I'm telling this is when the Rebbe came to France, he made a fabringen with the Chassidim that were there in France at the time. And at that fabringen, he went around the room, and everybody's name, he expounded upon their name, on what that meant, who they were, right? Or I don't know who they were, the qualities of them. So I can't do that. I can't tell, Menachem Hillel, well, your name is this because this is the quality of you. Maybe I'd be right, maybe not. So, I'm not so privy to appreciate. Perhaps, good. Or Amram, I don't think I could take a stab at it, but not necessarily. But the fact is that your name is your vital force that animates you in a very deep internal way, that it is the makeup of your soul and the fusion of that with your body. So, that's pretty powerful. Yeah, so a name means something. Has this been written down what the Rebbe said? Yeah. You mean by the Fabringen about people? Good question. I'm not certain. Good question. Okay. All right, folks. Rambam is coming up. Come and join us. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zvich and Kadeshim Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing